Hello everyone. Well, it's the middle of July now and the vines are in full bloom. It's nothing to get too excited about, to be honest, because as I'm sure you're aware, vines just don't produce masses of gorgeous flowers. In fact, this is an example of one which is in full bloom at the moment. It's pretty uninspiring stuff, as I'm sure you would agree. But there's one thing which I can't do, and that is to spray the vines with any further fungicide, especially not in this state. Those flowers are really quite delicate, so being blasted with the air sprayer is probably not going to do the flowers a lot of good. So I completely leave the vines now until the fruit is well set and on its way. I've been struggling, therefore, as to what to do a video on this week for for the vineyard. So I thought I'd just run through how much it's actually cost us so far. So first things first, you need the vines themselves. Now we used a UK importer for our vines, and he got his for us from Germany. There's lots and lots of big growers of vines in Germany that you can specify the variety of the vine itself as well as the type of rootstock that's suitable for your soil. So I'll put the link in the description so you can see the people that we used. They may well export to the country that you're in, but if they don't, I'm sure there's other importers or growers that grow in your region that you can contact. But the vines that we use, like this one behind me here, they cost round about, I think we paid about £1.20 or so for the vine. Then you have to pay shipping and VAT because it's coming in from abroad. And so you're looking probably round about £1.80 to £2 or so per vine. And that's all inclusive. And when you get them, they look just like little sticks, little twigs. They don't come as nice plants. They've got some roots at the bottom, they've got a waxy top protecting it, and the best time to plant them is at the end of the winter, so round about sort of March time is probably the ideal time to put them in the ground. So that's the plant. However, you need a few other things to get going aside from just the vine, and you don't need a lot, but you do need a few basics. The next thing you need are the trellising at the end. So what this consists of is the post. You can use wooden or metal ones. We use a mixture of both in our vineyard, to be honest. The wooden ones are a little bit cheaper. They cost about probably about £5 or so. The metal ones are a little bit more expensive. The end posts, these ones here, cost us £11, and the support ones running down the row, they were a little bit cheaper. I think they came in at about £7. So, but these ones will last forever, unlike the wooden ones, which you'll probably need to replace after about 6-7 years if you're lucky. I'm hoping they're going to last a bit longer, but you never know. So you need obviously 2 end posts, and depending on how long the row is, I think we placed about 4 vines in between each sort of support post running down the aisle here. So that's the support posts, and then what you need is also some kind of guy rail to keep the lines nice and taut, because you can imagine with loads and loads of vines with all the fruit hopefully hanging off the fruiting line, which is this one behind me, there's quite a lot of weight hanging on here, so you don't want these support posts to sort of start sort of bending upwards. So you've got to have some kind of guy rope to keep it nice and taut. Now we've used a metal rope here. This one here, I think from memory, is about 3 mil thick, something like that. Of course, metal wire rope is very, very strong, and we used a twisted braided, I don't know if that comes out on the video very well, but the reason why we used this sort of wire rope, I think it's called wire rope, again I'll put the link in the description, is because it's very, very flexible. If you to use the wire that you would use for the fruiting lines and the catch wires and things like that, it's not quite, well, it's not flexible really at all. You can bend it, but it's not going to be anywhere near as flexible as this. And you need a little bit of flexibility because you need to wrap it round the post here and back down to a ground anchor, which is the next thing I'll come on to. So to secure your guy rail into the ground, you need some kind of anchoring point, and we've used these ground anchors, I suppose, for want of a better term. They look like a rebar. This one I think is, looking at it, it looks around about sort of 60 centimetres, about 2 foot long or so. Obviously with an eye at one end, and at the other end there's some kind of sort of drill type plate that you can wind into the ground, and it literally just winds itself deep into the ground, and that's your anchor point. So ideally, just sitting above the ground is just an eye that you can see, like this one. Now you obviously need 2 ground anchors, one at either end, and the ground anchors cost us around about £4.50 each, plus VAT. Again, they might be different in your area or your country, but that gives you a rough idea of how much these ground anchors are. Now, the other things which you'll see on the ground anchor is some kind of shackle, like this one here, and also an eye. You don't need this, but it gives it a better curve through the shackle as opposed to a tight curve where you could get a little bit of wear and it might not last as long. So we use these little eyes here, a shackle, and also this thing here, which is called a ferrule, something like that. Again, I'm not quite sure whether getting one of those is really worth it. They only cost about 10p or something like that, and I think it's really just to hold the rope close to the eye, but we've never really found they work, so I wouldn't bother with one of those. The shackles themselves, they probably, they're less than £1. I did find a really good site that sells them quite cheaply, which is in UK was called GS Products. Again, I'll put the link in the description, as well as all the eyes for the rope. The other thing which was really useful was these gripples here, which are very handy for joining wire together. These like a one-way, you just feed the rope in one way. We always use it for the wire along the trellis lines as well, but you just feed the wire in. It goes in one way but can't come out the other way, so they're fantastic for connecting wires together like this, and nothing's going to they take an awful lot of load. And I think this one, it's a medium gripple, and I think this one goes up to 4mm, something like that, so it's plenty big enough for the wire rope that we're using here. Gripples, they cost, from memory, I think they cost about £1 each or so. So you've got your 2 posts at either end, you've got them securely attached to ground anchors, you've got the vine in the ground. What else do you need? Well, you need some kind of stake to support the young growing vine, because they're very delicate when they're new and they have a tendency to flop over, especially if it's windy. So you need some kind of stake. Now you can use bamboo, although that doesn't last quite as long, to be honest. So we went for the galvanized steel ones, which you can see behind me here. They will last forever, obviously, and they are really good. They are, I think from memory, about 5mm in thickness. Again, they look like a thin rebar, but these are 1 metre 10 centimetres long. I'm not quite sure what that is in feet and inches, probably getting on for about 4 foot, maybe just a bit less. And so yeah, you need a whole load of those, and again, I'll put them in the description below so you can see where we got them from. But yeah, these will cost, again from memory, I'll correct it in the description if I'm wrong, but I think these are around about sort of 80p, something like that. Not too much if you're buying in volume. If you're just buying a few, then it will work out to be more expensive. So you need something to support the vine. The next thing you need are some kind of twist ties, like this one here, which I've got, and you'll need that to twist the or to hold this stake onto the fruiting line, which is the next thing I'll come on to. So the wire that runs between the 2 stakes at either end is the fruiting line, and that's a 2mm galvanized wire, just single strand, not the rope like we were using for the guy ropes at the end, but this is a single wire, 2mm galvanized, and it runs really tight. You need it taut because you basically want it in a straight line. You don't want it bowing with the weight of all the fruit and all the foliage resting on it. So you will find that you probably use lots and lots of 2mm wire. Again, you can buy it in 1,000-metre lengths, and that's the cheapest way to buy it, and that's what we did. I think we bought 1,000-metre lengths at round about sort of £80 per, £85 there or thereabouts for the 1,000 metres. So it sounds a lot, but you do go through a lot of wire, because you're basically using 1 for the fruiting line and then 4 for the, one either side, 4 of for the catch wires, so you do go through a lot of wire. And don't get the high tensile strength one as well, because you'll find that that's really difficult to bend. Just get the normal galvanized mild steel wire. That will really help. I mentioned a second ago that you need to get this fruiting line under tension, and you can do that by using these sort of little gadgets here. It's a Spanx wire tensioner, and they've been a boon, to be honest. They've been really good at getting real tension in the wire. In fact, if you do it tight enough, you could probably ping the wire and it will probably play you a note. These aren't too expensive. Again, you can buy them in packs of 100. Again, I'll put the description link in the description below. These are from memory, I don't know, is the honest answer. I don't know how much these cost, but they're not too expensive. There is a special little tool you can get to slot into this bit here, and you can twist it around really easily, and it gets, yeah, as I say, it gets the wire really tight. So I thoroughly recommend those. They're not too expensive, and it will save you a heck of a lot of time trying to do it any other method, really. So the next thing you want is relates to the, I was just trying to think then, it relates to the catch wires which sit above the fruiting line, and I'll show you that. Now, if you're finding any of these videos interesting or informative, feel free to pop over to our new Patreon page, where you'll find loads more videos and information sheets and things like that. And just for a few dollars or a few pounds per episode, you'll be really helping this channel out, and basically helping me to produce more and more videos. You'll find not only more videos, but you'll find sort of a bit more of an interactive feel with it, where you can ask me questions directly, and you also find lots of information on growing vines and I don't know, all sorts of stuff really. Any little short videos that I find that I'm not putting on YouTube, I usually put them on the Patreon pages, and it just gives you a lot more sort of background information really. So yeah, if you're interested, pop over there, see what you think. You can set yourself a monthly budget. We produce a maximum of 4 sort of paid for videos per month, but there's loads and loads of extra ones which I put on there for free as well. So yeah, if you're interested, pop over, see what you think, and yeah, if you can feel like you can help me out on there, then that would be absolutely terrific. Okay, back to this video anyway. You've probably seen in previous videos that I've done that the 2 sets of catch wires that sit above the fruiting line are there just simply to hold all the foliage into a nice vertical leaf wall. That really helps sort of keep all the foliage away from the developing grapes underneath. And the ideal thing to do is when you're wanting to gather all the foliage up and put them inside the catch wires, is to take them off and either end, and then just scoop everything up from below and reattach them. Now, you don't have to do that. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can attach them permanently at one end, which is what I've done here. As you can see, these wires just go round the post at the end, and I've just sort of nicely coiled them around themselves, and they're permanently fixed now to the ends there. But you will find that it makes it much easier if you've got the ability to take it off at the other end. So I'll just show you that. Whilst I'm walking down the road, these are the new vines that we put in last year, and they are really growing something. So I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time paying some attention to those, just so they don't go completely loopy and out of control. Anyway, I've reached the end of the row, and this is what I wanted to show you. The chains are fantastic, to be honest, because it means that you can unhook them, you can lengthen them or shorten them depending on which point of the chain that you're reattaching, and it means that you can take the whole wire off and scoop everything up, like I say, and reattach it, and that just makes life a lot easier. Again, you can buy these chains in bulk. I think we buy them in packets of 100, something like that, although you do need 4 per row, as that's what I found. And if you're doing chains at either end, that's obviously 8 per row, which gets a lot more expensive. Again, the chains aren't too expensive, and I think they were probably round about 50p, something like that. I am guessing a little bit, to be honest, so again, I'll put the price in the description below. So you'll need those, and that will finish off the catch wires for you. If you're using metal posts at the end of the row, aside from the chains which I've just mentioned, you'll also need to somehow attach the chains to the post. I've used these S-hooks, which have come in really handy because they literally just slot into the holes there, and the other side you can attach the chain to. On wooden posts, you'll need something a little bit different. On wooden posts, you actually need to somehow bang a nail in the end of the wooden post and attach the chain that way. Now, I've used these I suppose you just call them hook nails, that's what I've always called them, and they are literally, as they sound, they are just hooks but in nail format, so you can just bang them in with a hammer. They're particularly good, not necessarily just at the end of the row but along the row as well, and I'll just show you those. The hook nails come in particularly handy in the middle post here, or middle posts, because you can literally just unhook the catch wires from it, and so that they come away from the post altogether, and then you just reattach them like that. Don't use staples, as I have done on other parts of the vineyard, because you find that you just can't take that catch wire away from the post completely. It's just permanently held there. So these little hook nails are quite good. Now, hook nails are surprisingly expensive for what they are. I'm not quite sure whether it's just because not a lot of them are made, so you know, supply is quite low. But if you can find them, I wouldn't be at all surprised that if you buy 100 of them, it's going to cost you probably £20 plus. I always thought that was quite expensive for 100 anyway, but if you can find them cheaper, all well and good, but I couldn't, so again, I'll put them in the description. We actually got these ones from Vigo Limited, which do a whole load of different wine and beer, but in our case wine supplies, so they're a good company. UK based again, but they may well export. Now, there's always things that you could spend money on when setting up a vineyard. It's probably a little bit discretionary. We had our field completely reploughed and reseeded, which you don't have to do, it's just that we chose to because our field was in particularly poor condition when we were looking at it. It had loads of anthills and molehills, and they're just not a good idea to have in a vineyard when you're starting out. So we got a local farmer to sort us out there. We also put a perimeter fence round the outside, just because we're right next to a forest, which we know we've got deer in, so we wanted to keep those out. And also we've got sheep in an adjacent field, so we definitely wanted to keep them out. So you may be lucky, you might not have to worry about those things. So you know, fencing can be expensive, but you don't have to have it if you don't need it. So I would say we've probably spent in total about £10,000 on a vineyard which has got 1,000 vines in it. So that works out to be roughly £10 a vine. Now, if you go smaller, it's going to cost you probably a little bit more per vine, and if you go larger, it's going to cost less per vine. That's just the way economics works, I suppose. So that's roughly the figures that we've spent on our vineyard. I'm sure I've probably missed some obvious things out, and if I have, then definitely put them in the comments below, and put in you know, how much it's cost you you know, to put your vineyard in. I'd just be intrigued as to what other people have spent on theirs. I think if you shop around, you can probably save yourself quite a bit of money, especially on the sort of fiddly bits like the wire and the posts and the guy ropes and things like that. The vines themselves, you may be a little bit limited as to where you can get those from, especially in the numbers that you may be looking at. So yeah, put them in the comments as to what your thoughts are, and if I've missed anything, just let me know. So that's probably it for this video. Hopefully when I next come to do a video in the vineyard, those flowers which I mentioned to start with will have bloomed and gone over and starting to set as fruit, and then we can get on with the next stage. But I hope you've enjoyed this one anyway. I'll catch you in the next I'll catch you in the next one. But until then, bye for now.